Hey everyone, the other day I was thinking about my journey in learning Portuguese since I moved to Brazil. And I was also thinking about the journey I've been on building this YouTube channel. And I realized there was a striking similarity. That similarity is that I've hit a learning plateau in each of these situations. I learned a lot and I grew a lot, but as of late, I haven't really grown at all. And so, if you're wondering what this learning plateau is, also known as the plateau of competence, stick around to the end of this video so that I can teach you how to take advantage of this learning plateau, and I'll share various ways that you can continue to grow and learn. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, what is the learning plateau? Well, if you think about your learning journey, the learning plateau is the point in your journey where you've built enough to survive, to adapt, to communicate, to perform, and you've hit a point where you're no longer evolving. If you think about the learning journey itself, the beginning part is exciting, it's a steep curve, and you're learning very rapidly. And if you compare that to the latter part of your learning journey, change is more subtle, things feel slow, and you feel like you're not learning as much anymore. If you've reached to that point, then chances are you're approaching or you've reached the learning plateau. But don't worry, this isn't a bad thing. It's a natural part of every learning journey. And I'm happy you're here because knowing about the learning plateau will help you to be able to understand it, to be able to use it to your advantage, and to continue to evolve and to learn and grow. How do we end up here? Well, the brain automates behavior. It tries to be as efficient as possible. And as you're learning a new skill or a new habit, it's eventually going to encode that behavior and it's going to become easier over time. It'll eventually become automated and you're no longer thinking about having to do the action. It just happens. In a way, you've gone from learning mode to performing mode. You may have heard the phrase, I'm just going through the motions. Well, that's because your brain is working really hard to encode this behavior so that you don't have to expend as much energy to do the action. And as a result, the progress becomes invisible and it feels like you're not learning as much as you were before. This is the point that I got stuck in, and this was the inspiration for my video. I'm very happy with my level of Portuguese. I have zero problems getting around the country, making friends, asking questions on the street, but I know that I can be better. And same thing with my YouTube channel, if I'm being very honest. I'm happy with the channel. I've grown a lot in the last year, but I know it could be better. And I've reached a point in both of those journeys where I've learned a lot in the beginning, but now I'm kind of going through the motions and I'm relying on everything that I've built, and I haven't really evolved as much. But that's okay. As long as I'm aware that I've hit this point in my learning journey, it doesn't have to be an end point. It could simply be one point on a timeline as I continue to evolve, learn, and grow. So here's how I hit the plateau, and here's most likely how you might hit the plateau as well. Since our brains are constantly working for efficiency and trying to preserve energy, we'll eventually hit a point where competence feels comfortable. We've done enough, and so our brain doesn't feel the need to push anymore. We have enough to get by, and that's good. Another clue that occurred for me and the examples that I provided, and maybe in your own life, is that you're not learning anything new. With regards to Portuguese, I've hit a level where I can communicate with basically anyone that I want. I understand 90% of the conversations that I'm having with people, and I've checked boxes. But where's the evolution? Where is the point where I'm continuing to grow as a language learner and I'm continuing to grow as a video maker? As you can see from my own personal examples, and maybe you can see in your own, I'm not stretching my ability anymore. So because of all these things, there's no challenge, and when there's no challenge, there's no growth, a principle that can be applied to any part of your life. And this highlights the importance of understanding what the learning plateau is and how to use it to your advantage. So rather than settling for autopilot mode, here are 5 ways to help you break through the plateau. Number 1 is to redefine what progress means. I'm no longer operating at a level of basic competence, but I'm now focusing on intentional mastery. Thinking about it from the level of Portuguese, I'm no longer just focused on vocabulary or basic sentence structure or figuring out how I can just get to the grocery store. I'm now focused on nuances. I'm now focused on humor and slang and things that are unique about learning languages. Thinking about it from the YouTube video perspective, I'm no longer focused on just checking these boxes of recording a video and then uploading the video. Maybe I'm going to focus on cinematography. Maybe I'm going to focus on new editing techniques. Whatever the case may be, think about it in the perspective of deeper progress. Look at the skills that you've already learned in something and ask yourself, how can you get deeper in this one skill? A second way to break through the plateau is to add deliberate challenge. So once again, I'm going to continue to use the examples of Portuguese in these YouTube videos. If I want to add deliberate challenge to my skill level as a Portuguese learner, maybe I seek out conversations, situations, or people that would slightly challenge my conversation speaking skills. Maybe it's a specific topic or a conference or an event where there's a lot of language that I'm not familiar with. That would add deliberate challenge and help me to grow and evolve. Regarding these YouTube videos, maybe I try new editing styles, maybe I try new formats, maybe I try a new program altogether, which will help me to learn new skills. And then I can combine all of those skills and add them to my toolbox. This next one I love. And a third way to break through the plateau is to revisit the fundamentals with new eyes. Why do I love this one? Well, because when you go through a learning journey, I feel like it's common to not revisit what things were like in the beginning. You are focused on just moving forward and you don't really look back. But if you take a moment with all of your new knowledge and your growth and you revisit what it was like in the beginning when you first started learning something, you have a new set of eyes, you have new knowledge, you have new perspective, and you can use those and re-examine the things you started using and the things you started learning, and that may add to your growth overall. It doesn't matter if you're an advanced learner. There's a chance that on your learning journey, there were gaps. And by taking a moment to revisit those fundamentals, you may identify some gaps and be able to fill them in. This next one is a fun one. The fourth way you can break through your plateau is to change your environment. So plateau often comes from repetition. I'm in the exact same place that I always am when I shoot these videos. What if I filmed it in a new location? What kind of skills would I need to tap into to be able to film a video like this? What kinds of things would I have to consider that are differently? Simply putting myself in a new situation would help me to break this plateau, and inevitably I will learn something from that experience. It's these new contexts that force and highlight new skills. And the last way to break through the learning plateau is to become a beginner again on purpose. Don't forget that learning is all about curiosity, and it's the curiosity that is going to unlock growth. Where are some areas that you can intentionally be bad and then figure out how to be good at those things? Maybe I look at the way I speak Portuguese and maybe I'm not so good in one of the specific tenses. I'm bad at speaking that tense. Well, I can focus my time on that specific tense. I can approach it through intentional mastery and then focus on how I can get good again. I can hone in on that specific skill and determine how I can get better at it. And overall, that'll help my learning journey. Recognizing the learning plateau is super important, and there are so many benefits to it. Now, here's how you use the learning plateau to your advantage. You take everything that I just said, and by doing so, it allows you to explore, it allows you to experiment, it allows you to build confidence, and it allows you to repeat those habits to ensure consistency. Those are all incredible skills that you want as a learner. Every learning journey has a plateau. The question is, are you going to settle for that plateau or are you going to break through it? I appreciate you watching this video. Feel free to check out another one of my videos from the Learning Lab section of my channel so that you can continue to design a life of purpose. I'll see you in next week's video.